Appeals for this evening, November 14th. It's 7:37. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. This meeting will be recorded by the local scene. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by viewing the Duxbury Government Access channels, Verizon 39 or Comcast 9. Viewers can visit https://thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube. All right, the first matter on for this evening, I'll read the public hearing notice. The Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing in the Mural Room here and via Zoom tonight to consider the application of Cafe Viola Francesco Chianti for a special permit under Articles 400, 600, and 900, Sections 406, 410, 421.1-2, 424, 425, 601, 601.3, 601.4, 601.6, 601.9, and 906.2 of the Duxbury Protective Bylaw. The property is located at 1518 Tremont Street, parcel number 104-731-350A of the Duxbury Assessor's Map, consisting of 1.5 acres in the Residential Compatibility Neighborhood Business District 1 and Aquifer Protection Overlay District, and owned by Cadet Enterprises. The applicant proposes to illuminate a previously permitted flush-mounted sign. A special permit is required. The application may be viewed on the town's website at www.town.duxbury.mass.us under the Zoning Board of Appeals page or in the Municipal Service Department. Folks who are differently abled, we will accommodate. All right, so we have received an application, a special permit to illuminate an existing sign or a flush-mounted sign with an external gooseneck light pointing at the sign. We got a diagram of what the gooseneck light would look like. We got a site plan. We got a memo from the Board of Health, which has no comments. We got a memo from the Design Review Board. It says, at our meeting on October 23, the Design Review Board reviewed and discussed the proposed installation as presented in the ZBA packet. In general, we concluded that the submission is incomplete. Our conclusion is based on the following considerations. The submitted package illustrates the intent to illuminate an existing sign. The submission includes a site plan, elevation pictures illustrating the locations of 2 existing signs, and a catalog page illustrating the proposed light fixture. The submission does not define the quantity or mounting of the location of the proposed light fixtures. The submission includes a note that the proposed illumination will be active and on from sunset to no later than 10 p.m. From the Planning Board, at the meeting of the Planning Board on November 4, the board voted unanimously to defer judgment to us. We have a those are some elevations. All right. So the way we do this is first we hear from the applicant. Did we get anything else? I don't think we got anything. All right.
We do not.
All right. First we hear from the applicant. The board asks questions of the applicant. Once the questions have been asked, we open it up for the public for any of their comments, and then the board will likely deliberate. So if anybody wants to speak tonight, I need you to speak into that microphone right over there.
Hello? Oh.
It's on.
It's just for
It's
the
on?
recording.
It's
Oh, okay.
just for the,
It's not for us, it's for the people out in TV
Oh,
land.
okay. Basically, it's just those lights, they won't bring too much light for there's no residential buildings around, and also they're only pointing at the sign, and
how
I mean,
many
the
lights are
permit-
you, how many lights are you proposing to put in?
I think there are 4.
So 2 on each sign?
No, there are only 4 on the sign. That's it, pointing on the sign.
All right, so can we go back to the other photo?
On one. And also, it says 10 o'clock, but we close 8 o'clock, so I might probably turn it off earlier. So we're talking about,
So our rules require it to go off at the time you close.
yeah, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 3 hours in the winter, maybe an hour in the summer, so I thought, yeah.
And so what you're proposing to do is put 4 of the gooseneck lights above the sign that currently says Cafe Viola.
Yes.
Are there, just for a question, are there lights going on, intended to go on the other sign that's on the other side of the building?
No, there's no,
So
there's
it's
no
just-
other light, no.
Just this sign?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a sign on the other end of the building, isn't there?
There is.
Yes, but there is already like lights around the building.
Okay.
Yeah, they
That
don't.
light that, so
Yeah.
we're just trying to light this one
Yeah.
facade.
Board have questions?
Is that, what's on the second floor of that building?
It's just attic. I mean, it used to be a house, I guess. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
storage
just a
area.
tenant, yeah, yeah, storage.
Okay.
Are we concerned about how many lumens they're gonna have, or?
Jim, how do we police how bright it is?
How do we police them?
Yeah.
When I get a complaint about them? About
Probably.
them being too bright?
It's probably just gonna put enough to light up the sign.
Exactly.
Not try and light up the parking lot.
I think in
No,
the
it-
past with these, we've, the language in the permit has referred to light intensity that's deemed reasonable. We're not specific about
Correct.
lumen level or anything, and then that sort of leaves it open to, if somebody does squawk, then Jim can go out and, with his hammer and,
At midnight and say, yeah, you know, that's too bright.
yeah.
Right, and it should be off by midnight anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
so-
I don't
Something-
like to waste my money on power.
Right.
Right, that makes sense. Board got other questions?
Nope.
Boris, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Is there anybody from the general public who would like to comment on this application?
Is there anybody else on?
Do we have any other viewers out there, Allison?
We do not.
Okay.
It's not exciting enough, huh?
No.
All right, so I'm going to move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor, I, Wayne Dennison.
Aye, Phil?
Hi, Freeman.
I, Boris.
All right,
Thank you.
then, well, we haven't done anything yet.
We're not,
Oh.
not quite done yet.
We just
Fine.
closed it.
Right. So I guess I'll start the discussion. I guess I would be willing to propose approval of the special permit of no more than 4 of the gooseneck lights of reasonable intensity pointed down towards the existing signage to go off no later than the closing time of the restaurant, and in any event, no later than 10 p.m.
Works for me. Sounds very reasonable.
Sounds reasonable.
Was that a motion, Wayne?
I'm going to I'm going to make a motion to the effect that we approve the special permit with no more than 4 of the gooseneck lights pointed downwards towards the existing signage of reasonable intensity that can be illuminated no later than closing time of the restaurant and in no event later than 10 p.m.
I'll second that.
All in favor, I, Wayne Dennison.
Aye, Phil.
Mike Freeman.
I, Boris.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Welcome.
sir.
Thank you.
All right, so the next thing on is an administrative matter. And this is a question, I think, administrative review of the matter we heard in 2022. The applicant is requesting a change to a window configuration previously permitted in special permit 2022-09. We have to determine if this is a substantial or insubstantial modification. If it's a substantial modification, we have to hold a public hearing. If it's an insubstantial modification, we can decide whether we can approve it. So why don't we hear from whoever's proposing the modification? Great.
Yep.
Hi, good evening. I'm Stephen Keefe. I'm the one proposing the change in the window configuration. And the reason I don't have the blueprints here tonight depicting exactly what I'm doing, I do have pictures of it being rough framed at this point, is because the person that initially did my designs is no longer in business. So when we were going to different supply houses and we ended up going with National Lumber, they said, Steve, I understand your gentleman's out of business. If you do end up purchasing the lumber from us to build the garage, we will stamp the blueprints and we will draw them up for you. I was telling Jim I was supposed to have them by yesterday. He promised me again today. I'm hopefully going to have them by tomorrow. But I do have pictures of the garage being framed with the changes. And obviously there was someone that called that had an issue with it. So ultimately what we're proposing to do is I think they call them atrium windows that are on the back dormer. Because when we initially drew this blueprint up, we went through the special permit process to get the extra 3% for the size of the garage to be a little bit larger so it's more accommodable for cars. So at that point, we had only had a pull-down staircase in the initial drawings. So once we got the approval for the extra 3%, I went to go back to him to draw the drawings, and he was out of business. So back to National Lumber with drawing these blueprints up. And if you'd like, I can show you the pictures.
Show them that.
Yeah. We'd like for these two.
Yeah, bring them right up here.
Come on up.
So ultimately,
Just
what we
hold
did-
off on talking till you get the microphone in your hand. You can take it with you if you want.
Okay. And that just goes to show you how they're gonna match the back of my existing building.
So basically, we turned the windows, instead of them having going this way, they're going
That way. And I actually,
vertical, so it matches the rest of the windows in the house.
and I did a quick, hopefully they'll appreciate this. To give you an idea of the change of the windows,
All right, just so that I understand,
Okay, sorry.
this photo here that's taken at 8:01 a.m.,
yes,
this is a picture of the
That dormer
dormer
framed.
depicted right there.
correct, with the windows turned the opposite way.
And so rather than have those three
Doubles.
pane lateral windows, you have two standard double pane.
Correct, that match the existing back of the house.
Is the height of the dormer unchanged from the existing plans?
Nope, the height of the dormer is the same. The only difference is because of when we initially drew the blueprints to now, we had incorporated a set of stairs that now that dormer sits on the back wall. It looks very similar, almost identical to what you're looking at now. And this little thing that I drew here was the window that is framed is the back. Hopefully I'm explaining this correctly. The back piece, the darker piece, is the window that we're that it's framed for now in the picture. In this white is those windows that have turned sideways, so it's almost the same square footage as far as one window to the next window. Instead of going horizontal, they go vertical now to match the existing windows in the back of the house.
Okay.
And it's gonna be all drawn up. Again, I apologize, he was supposed to have the blueprints for me today. He had just gotten back from vacation, like the outside salesperson with National Lumber, but he's promising me I'll have them, and I told Jim I'd get them to him as soon as possible.
So did the design review board weigh in on the first special permit?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
I think they must have, but they were copied on the special permit when it was signed, so that would lead me to believe that they probably had chimed in on it, no?
Yeah, likely they did.
And National Lumber did provide me with the PDF, which I did make copies of, and that's what we gave the framer to do all the framing configurations of the stairs with the dormer going back on the back wall. And it's since been rough inspected by by Bob, and everything looked great. It's just a matter of me getting you the final picture of that back with the windows basically just going vertical instead of horizontal.
All right, so the only thing we're supposed to decide tonight is whether this is a substantial enough change that it requires us to have a public hearing to determine whether they can do this. And if it is not a substantial enough change, we can decide whether we want to approve it. And we can just talk among ourselves, because.
Yeah, it's not really a hearing, we don't have to close it or anything.
Right, we don't have to do anything.
I think that an interesting point that the applicant hasn't spoken about, and this is the way it was explained to me, and you may want to talk about this, is that this is a garage with storage space above it. That's all that it's being permitted for, that's all it's going to be used for. It's really not that big up there to use for much of anything else.
So it's gonna be unfinished space,
Mhm.
non-heated?
Correct.
It doesn't connect to the house at all in any way. It's just a set of stairs that go up in the garage. It gives us more storage.
And those aren't the only windows in the back of the house.
Well, they
So,
have
as
the
you can
picture.
see, there's other,
And it would match, I think it would match nicer this way.
You don't have a picture showing the whole back of the
I do.
house.
It's right here, isn't it?
Yes, I do. I gave it to you.
That's the whole back of the house, and you see the dormer over on the right.
Oh, okay.
On the left.
I didn't see the dormer earlier.
I'm sorry.
well, this one too, I don't know if
That's the same thing they have. I made two. You want the same one?
Yeah, that looks like that's the same
The
one.
same picture. Just made a couple copies.
I don't know.
I don't see it as a material change. I think it's, ordinarily, Jim, if someone were going to change a window, or let's say I was going to replace the windows on my house, came to the inspectional services office for a permit, would I have to present plans or specifications of what I'm going to replace the windows with, or?
Technical data on what the window is for energy code purposes, and if the opening needed to be reframed, we'd need to understand that it was gonna carry the load.
Okay,
That's all we needed. Doesn't
Okay.
need any other kind of review or anything of
Yeah.
that nature.
so that, I think that further solidifies my opinion that this is not a material, this is a matter of preference of, do you like this window or do you like that window? And they've decided, initially they liked this one, now they like that one.
Right.
I have a sneaking suspicion that the design review board would like the one that's depicted more than the one that's being constructed.
I agree. Their opinion does matter to us if they need a special permit.
Right.
If they don't need a special permit, they can put in whatever they want.
Right.
Can I add one other item, another piece of information that helped us go with this? Again, this was very expensive to do the garage and everything. We found a house in Plymouth that they were renovating. The house was only remodeled 5 years ago, and I was able to get the windows from a house that was being taken down. And they're really high quality, less than 5-year-old windows. And that kind of, the money and aspect of it was a big deciding factor with us also, along with the stairs going in and, but it was a
I
monetary.
don't know, I actually think the previous design is more attractive, but quite frankly,
It is the back of the house.
yeah, but quite frankly, given the economics of it and the fact that it doesn't really make any difference.
I think the size is comparable.
it's just-
Yep.
Is there another house right behind it that would be looking at this?
Well, the back of the house, the way the lot line is, it's 17 feet off the lot line. My neighbor behind me, Bob, his house is probably 25, 35 feet away.
We have the, where's that picture? How many other windows looking out at the back of,
And we do, we have
like the
other,
same view?
the second floor, third, the attic, they all, I think these are a little bit higher than those. And they do match, in my opinion, it's more aesthetically appealing.
I agree, but it's just a lot different. That picture there is a lot different than what you had. And
Right.
usually we rely on the design review board to say, oh, no, you shouldn't have two windows right next to each other. You should spread them out, spread them apart, and this and that, and that kind of stuff. But
We're hoping it's not
I
that
think
big of a
if-
difference.
if nobody else really looks at this and it's not affecting anybody's view, then it really doesn't matter.
I'm gonna vote that it's insubstantial change and approve it. Anybody else want to vote?
I'll agree with that.
I would throw in the condition that the neighbor has to like it.
That's tough.
Well,
The neighbor's not paying for it.
I understand, but that's, what we're here for is to protect the neighbor.
But we have other houses, other windows that are.
We have other
look-
windows
I
that this
understand.
matches, it actually looks
I got it.
nicer.
And the other windows are livable space that we, our bedrooms and.
So the issue isn't whether, the issue tonight isn't whether it gets turned down. The question is whether we have to have a full hearing before the board to authorize this. And my inclination would be no. I think Phil's inclination would be no.
I agree.
If the neighbor has to approve it, then I think we're going to have to do it.
Yeah, I agree. We can't condition it insignificant.
All right. Boris, do you have a view on this? Oh, boy.
He may be muted.
He gone? Oh, he's here.
Yeah, he's
Hey,
there.
Boris, you're on mute. I'm positive that Boris's opinion is important, but all you need is a majority, so it's an insubstantial change and it's been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
luck.
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Want these pictures back?